Chapter 1, Families and Educators Together, Building Great Relationships that Support Young Children. In Chapter 1, it takes a look at understanding family engagement. And understanding family engagement is a pretty broad concept. Everybody has their own biases. Everybody comes to, so to speak, the table with their own thoughts of what engagement is. But this chapter really helps you understand the difference between involvement and engagement and some principles and things to think about as you are interacting with your families. Understanding family engagement is caring for and teaching someone else's children. It's really having that passion and willingness to really focus on that family first concept. It is a demanding job with enormous expectations, and that can also be the most rewarding part of the job as well. And being part of the team. In teaching, we do not do things alone. We have a team, administrators, specialists, we have the community, we have the families. This is not a single type of a position or job, but it requires everybody. And so we need to be sure we are working with all of them. That engagement really requires that whole team as you move through. So what is family engagement? Well, the book defines it as the process of reaching out to families, forming reciprocal relationships, and valuing their contributions to the program. And so what I want you to think about on this is keying on the words, the valuing their contributions. Not all families are able to participate, engage, be involved, however you want to term it at this point, with school. Some can come in, some can't. Their schedules might not allow them. Some can come in. But we have to value what they are bringing. And in some cases, just even having them respond to some emails or text or signing their paperwork, that still is a fundamental engagement and important for our program and for children. So understanding that contribution. So what are the barriers to quality family engagement? I want you to think for a minute on that. What are some barriers? I think if you were to make a list of it, you could see some of the things I've already mentioned. Work, maybe bad experiences that they might have had as a child or their family in understanding the importance of engaging in school. It could be multiple children being put in different schools and having to balance that. The life-work balance, everything. There are so many barriers to having that quality family engagement. But the good news is that we can overcome it. We can learn from the 6 principles of family engagement, where program invite families to participate in decision-making and goal setting for the child. This is something I do for home visits. I make goals with the families. I learn from the families. I let them know that I am taking the back seat to them being the expert of their child. And they need to help me make decisions so that we can do what's best for their child. Teachers and program engage families in two-way communication. Nowadays, there's so many forms of communication that hopefully whatever is best for the family is what you will provide. It could be email, text, phone call. There's Remind apps. There's other apps. But what is best for the family is what should be implemented. Teachers invite families to share their family's traditions and customs with the group. Is also a great way to get an understanding and engage in that two-way communication. They learn about you and you learn about them. Programs and teachers engage families in ways that are truly reciprocal. Teachers listen to information provided by families and act on the information to incorporate relevant ideas in the classroom. Really listen to the families. A reciprocal relationship is one that it's a circle. It goes around. you listen to them, you implement things, you share information with the families. Then they share things back with you, you implement that. So it is a continuous and ongoing process. But truly listening is really important. Programs provide learning activities for home and in the community. That's that homeschool connection. Whether it's maybe an secure classroom website, teacher post photos of new take-home backpacks with information about how to foster and build on children's interests in science. There are so many ways that you can connect activities for home and in the community. It's really just understanding your program, what the children are interested in, and how can you make it relevant to the families in their home. Number 5 is programs invite families to participate in program-level decisions and wider advocacy efforts. Families don't understand sometimes that when they are making those decisions, they are advocating. And it's really important to embrace that and share that information with them. A program, often sometimes you'll get a grant and may not know how to spend that grant, or you have it has to go towards, say, science or STEM. And bringing families in and asking them, well, what do you think we should be doing in our program? How should we be spending this money? That is just one example of how you can get them on program level decisions and wider advocacy efforts. And 6, programs implement a comprehensive program level system. Like a program-wide newsletter features updates on each classroom's family engagement experiences. So that really connects other families together. The thing about all of this is that there is no one-size-fits-all approach to family engagement. You have to tailor the family engagement approach and specific strategies to reflect the characteristics of the community and the individual children in the family. So this is where we go back to, again, understanding your families and making sure that you're meeting their needs. So defining what a family is. Well, the book tells us a family is defined as one or more children and the adults who have sole or shared primary responsibility for the children's well-being as the child's guardian and primary caregivers, who are committed to supporting the child emotionally, financially, or both. So, this is one of those areas that I have asked you to think about being reflective in your practice. And this is one of them that I would like you to just pause this for a moment and create a list of all the types of family dynamics that you can think of. I'll get you started. So thinking about, there's mom and dad. There's dad and dad. Mom and mom. There's grandma that are primary caregivers for that child, or an aunt that is raising a child. So I want you to pause that and think about that. Think about all the children and their family dynamics that you have worked with before in the past, and anyone that you could possibly think of. You will encounter all of these variety of families, the different dynamics in your career. And it's important to make sure that they know that you are there for them. So in this scenario, you're identifying and addressing the needs of new residents. Throughout this course, you're going to be asked different scenarios, and you are going to have to answer those scenarios as if this was really happening to you. So you've created that list that I asked you to pause and define what family is. And now I want you to pause again after reading this scenario. So I will get you started. Jamie Hartley is the director of the Methodist Day School, which is a ministry of First United Methodist Church. The school was formed to meet the needs of the families and young children in the community. It operates during the school calendar year and serves children who are 18 months to 4 years old. Here's the challenge. An increase in industrial jobs in the area, and many young families were unfamiliar with the area and isolated while their partners worked long hours. You want to help the families get to know each other so they could build friendships. Families also had questions about their children, including how to handle challenging behavior and general questions about child development. How do you meet both the needs. So that's the scenario and your challenge to you to take a pause right now and think about how would you meet the needs of this community and the challenges that they are facing. So we want to talk about family involvement versus family engagement. Okay, so do you think that there's a difference? Is it just words? What are your thoughts on that? So there is a difference. There is a difference between involvement and engagement, and the book clearly lets you know that. Involvement is merely involving family in the child's education, can have unintended consequences of making parents feel like helpers who follow the teacher's directions rather than equal partners in their child's education. Whereas engagement really is about building relationships, and the responsibility falls on more than just the parents. It is the whole family and the whole center. So in order to achieve that, we really need to have that reciprocal relationship. Getting to know your community. As I mentioned before, part of that reciprocal relationship is the community as well. That's part of it. And each community has its own traditions and beliefs that tie residents together, and each family has characteristics that make them unique. It is important for you to get to know that. The more you know and understand about the environment and the everyday experiences of the children and the families, the easier it will be to build genuine connections with families and work together to support their children. So get out there in the community that you serve. It's also a great idea to compile a list of organizations and resources that might be helpful for your families, activities, traditions, parks that are in the community, libraries, things like that. The more you know about that community, the easier it is you'll be able to serve your families and be able to help them navigate around. It lets them know that you're really, truly interested and respecting where they are coming from. Standards and requirements for family engagement. There are standards. That's why you're in this course right now. There is a foundation in which early childhood stands on, and it is super important to know that there's the Council for Professional Recognition, which issues the Child Development Association, which is the CDA. There's NAEYC, the National Association of Education for Young Children, that's grounded in core values emphasizing diversity and inclusion, research-based technology, and knowledge of child development, which we get our term DAP from, Developmentally Appropriate Practices. And specifically with this course, Standard 7, it addresses relationships with families. And so it gives us that guidance. It professionalizes our profession. And even in this course, I'm going to be asking you to reference NAEYC codes and getting to know them. Whenever you're questioned or in doubt or not sure of something, you can always go back to these agencies, and they really truly help us, guide us working with our families. The reflection question that I want you to think on is, in what ways do you think families want to contribute to their child's development and learning? How can you learn about their interest and preferred engagement options? I want you to think about how in the past have you asked families for this information? In what ways? Did you meet with them face to face? Did you give them a piece of paper and they had to fill it out on their own? Did you have a conversation? In what ways can you obtain the information? Has it been successful for you in the past? And what do you do with that information? Once you get it, you got to do something with it. So I want you to really think about that. And then how will you change your practices going forward to make it more meaningful? So it's not just something the families have to do as a requirement maybe of your program, but what are you going to do with the information that you have? Once you have it, you do need to do something with it.